Hello there. Today I want to chat with you about how to get paid online. This is the thing that I chat with small business owners about. It's a thing that comes up in the groups that I'm in, that kind of thing. And it's one of those things that there's so many like service providers, there's so many blogs, there's just so much information on this out on the interwebs that it can be difficult to actually get the big picture of it and to understand how all the pieces fit together. Because a lot of times people who are writing the blogs are also trying to sell you something. So trying to sell you the solution to whatever that is. So let's talk about a big overarching, how does this work? So basically you need two pieces in order to get paid online. You need a front end piece. That's the piece that you actually interact with as a customer. It's the thing that you would put your credit card information into. You've definitely seen that online before. Then you need a back end piece. That's the thing that actually does the transaction. It processes the credit cards. Sometimes those two things are in one solution. Usually they're not. In my experience, usually they're not. Usually you sign up for whatever platform that you're on. So if your website is on WordPress and you want to use that, then maybe you're using like WooCommerce or Shopify is a good example of those two things in one. But maybe for me, it's Practice Ignition. That's the app that I use to send out agreements. There's tons of them. Whatever your specific business is in, it's the thing that's actually your store or the app that people interact with. And those things are usually specific to an industry. They have very specific offerings that they're going to give you. So finding one that works for you is really important, but it's also really difficult because there's so many. So being really clear about what you need in that before you start looking is super important. The back end piece of it, the payment processor, there's way fewer payment processors than there are front ends. And I think that PayPal is probably the most famous one in terms of individuals know what PayPal is and how it works, but it's not the best. Honestly, it's not great. I don't recommend using PayPal if possible. I've heard so many horror stories about PayPal and people like having stuff taken out of their bank accounts and anyways, I could go on and on. The one that I love is called Stripe. It's the one that I use, and it's very well known in the business community. I think it's very well done, and it's the same rate as any other processor. Like they're all 2.9% plus 30 cents per transaction. And it integrates with everything. So I love it. That's the one that I use. And there's tons of ways to do this. That's really the big overview. I don't want to get into the details, partly because I don't know the details of really into the details of stuff. I know enough to set my own things up. I know enough to advise clients and how that impacts their workflow, because that's something else that you really want to think about is how is the payment processor and the front end. Usually the front end is more important to think about in terms of workflow, but how do those things fit into your accounting flow? Like how do you get the information from the front end, from your store into your accounting software? Sometimes they integrate, which is excellent. Sometimes they integrate and it's not excellent because they make a mess. But I'm, again, not trying to get into the details. So I think overall, just knowing that you need a front end and you need a back end, and that front end piece is really important to find something that fits your needs, and that you're going to be able to get that data out and into your bookkeeping software, because that store piece, although it gives you lots of great metrics and the dashboards and all the numbers, it's not really all the numbers because it's not an accounting software. So just keep that in mind when you're choosing one. I also recommend chatting with an expert if you're really out of your depth on this. I definitely had an expert help me get all of this set up. If you have any questions about any of that, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to help you as much as possible and to maybe confer with the expert that helped me if necessary to answer your questions. If you're looking for accounting and tax tips every week, sign up for my newsletter. Those are free. And yeah, send them every week. I hope you're doing well, and I'll see you tomorrow.